Good morning, everybody. This is your boot camp video. So we are going to be doing virtual boot camp today, pre-recorded virtual boot camp today. If you have not already taken the time to do your phone rolling and any personalized maintenance that you need to do before we get going, then go ahead and please do that now. You can pause this video and go do those things, and then you can come back to your video when you're ready. What we're going to be doing today is going through a warm-up together, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of our workout, and then we're going to do a cool down together, and we should get it all done in about an hour, just like usual. If at any point anything does not feel correct, or if anything hurts or just doesn't feel right, then it is your responsibility to stop what you're doing. You can get in touch with me if you have questions about how you're supposed to be doing anything. And you should always check with your doctor before you start a new exercise program. And finally, before we get going, you're going to need to check your space out and make sure that you don't have any tripping hazards nearby. So you want to make sure that your floor is clear. Normally, I like to have a space that is about a yoga mat long and about a yoga mat wide, just to make sure you have enough clear space to do all of the exercises that we're going to be doing today. It's also a good idea to make sure that you can hear your environment around you, especially if you have other people living in your house with you. That way you are less likely to have any incidents with running into each other and having problems like that. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our warm-up. It's also a good idea to make sure that you have water nearby. And side note, if you need to take a break, and I'm not stopping to take a break, then please do stop and take a break. You can pause the video or you can just fall in again once you're ready, okay? So step one, we're gonna get you warmed up with your wrists first. We're gonna start our wrists and we're gonna move all the way through your whole body. All I'm gonna do here is some wrist circles. Whatever direction you've been going in, you're gonna go ahead and reverse that direction. Shake out those fingers. We're going to do a little bit of stretch going this way. Now, when I'm doing this sort of stretch, I like to give some traction to my fingertips and then push the heel of the hand through. You can straighten out each finger as you go, give each finger a little bit of massage, make it a bit more effective. Don't forget your thumb. Same thing over here, traction to the fingers, push the heel forward. My arm is straight. I'm massaging my fingers to give myself a little bit more traction on those fingers, getting those flexor muscles, a little bit more of a stretch, and then don't forget the thumbs. And shake those hands out again. We're going to take an inhale, both arms come up. Exhale, squeeze both arms back and down, trying to get thumbs to shoulders and elbows are tucking back behind your torso. That's keeping your chest nice and open. Same thing, we're going to inhale, both arms up. Exhale, both arms down. And again, inhale, both arms up. Exhale, both arms down. We're going to do this 2 more times. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, bring them down. And finally, inhale, both arms up. Exhale, both arms down. So we should feel a little bit loose with your neck, a little bit more open through your chest. You can shake those arms out a little bit. We're going to bring your feet to a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. All 10 toes are going to be pointing forward. Okay, if you need to, you can rotate your feet out a little bit. That makes a little bit more space for your knees, but no matter how much your feet are rotating, they want to be pretty even in their positioning. Okay, so both feet are pointing forward. They're about shoulder width apart. What I'm going to do is chop myself in half my hip bones, drop down into a squat, keeping my knees wide so that they stay on top of my shoelaces. My belly muscles stay strong the whole time to lift my torso. I'm going to do that again, hinge at the hips, sinking down. Big push up from there. Hinge at the hips, sinking down. Big push up from there, and I'm going to pivot so you can see what that looks like from the side. This will be number 4. Number 5. Stand your booty down like you're trying to set it down to the floor. 6. 7. You should be thinking about your pelvic floor muscles, especially when you're pushing the ground away. 8. Flexing all your favorite things, knitting your belly muscles towards each other, using them to lift your spine and control your core and your ribs. There's 9, 1 more right here. And 10, good. What we're going to be doing next is taking your legs wide, so wider than yoga mat width. And you can angle your toes out if you'd like to, but what we're going to be doing is some hip circles. So I'm going to push my hips around in a circle, and I'm going nice and slow so I can pay attention to any muscles that feel like they need a little bit more attention. Flexing my core as I go, help keep my back protected. Slowly working through that range of motion and paying attention to how everything's feeling. I'm going to do it one more time, that'll be 3 times in one direction. And then we'll reverse it. We're going to do it 3 times in the other direction. 1. Y'all know I can use help counting. 2. And 3. Okay, now we're in a wide squat position and angling my toes out just a smidge. We're going to take it down into a squat, so we're going to be doing a sumo squat or a plie squat, however you want to think of it. Shoulders are back, belly muscles are strong, they're controlling the base of my rib cage. I'm going to hinge at my hips again, chop myself in half right there, knees track in line with my shoelaces, and then I'm going to get right back up. Down we go. There's 2, and down. There's 3. Make sure you're thinking about your pelvic floor, especially when you go to stand up. Big push to the floor away from you. That's 4. 5. I'm going to turn to and sit up on the side. We've got 5 more to do here. You're going to hinge down. My knees, notice they're not falling inside. I'm still pushing them open. There's 6. 7. Trying to maintain that neutral spine. 8. Tailbone is reaching for the floor. 9, strong through your belly, posture muscles have a job. And there's 10. All right, now we're going to warm up a little bit more. We're going to do some butt kicks, all right? Alternating butt kicks, it's great, that's fine, easy. The butt kick, you're supposed to be swinging your heel back with enough force that you are feeling a stretch on the front of your leg. And if I go to profile again, you should be swinging your leg backwards before you start hinging at the knee. And doing that is going to help stretch out the front of your legs a little bit more. Good morning, kitty cat. Yeah, kick if you're not careful. All right, so that should be probably enough of those. Now we're going to start what we're doing, and we're going to do straight leg kicks. So we're going to kick straight up with the muscles in front of your thighs, and that's going to help open up the posterior chain and loosen up the backs of your legs that way. Make sure you don't kick your pets. Again, with paying attention to your environment. And I'm doing a little 3-step to switch sides. It helps keep my balance. It's good to keep a rhythm, you know, all that good stuff. I'm going to turn to the side again. My belly muscles are staying tall. My torso is staying largely in neutral. I'm not trying to reach down for my foot, right? I'm trying to keep my foot up. Now, if your foot doesn't go as high as mine, that's fine. It's all about practice, right? The more you do things, the easier they get. All right, so that should be enough of that. The last thing that we're going to be doing down here, we're going to do some ankle rolls. So we're going to give you some circles in one direction, just like we did for our wrist when we first got started. And then we're going to reverse it. We're going to do some ankle rolls in the other direction. Same thing on the other side, doing some ankle rolls, loosening up that joint. And then we're going to do it on the other side. Crunchy. If you do have some things that are feeling crunchy, that's fine. As long as it doesn't hurt, that's fine. It's a good rule of thumb. All right, now what we're going to be doing is put your heel in the front of you and the floor. You're going to do some dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Just trying to loosen up your calf muscles a little bit. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. If there's anything else at this point that you feel like you want to give some extra attention to, if you want to hop back on your foam rollers, if you want to put those stubborn spots that are not releasing their tension, then go ahead and pause the video and do those things. If you want to take a moment and get some more stretching going on, you can go ahead and take a moment and do those things. This is your workout, and so you should be comfortable and feel like your body is prepared for the exercise before you go ahead. If you are ready to go, though, we're going to start the meat and potatoes of our workout now. So what we're going to be starting out with is a basic squat, because basics are super useful. So we're going to be standing with our feet a little bit wider than hip width, about shoulder width apart. I like using a yoga mat to help me with my spacing. So just inside the edges of my yoga mat, if you're not sure how wide you should be, somewhere in that vicinity. And what you're gonna do, again, you're gonna chop yourself in half at your hips. Knees are tracking in line with your shoelaces. That means they're not falling towards each other in the midline. And I'm trying to get low enough that my elbows and my knees touch each other. And then I'm gonna push myself back up. We're gonna be doing this as a 10-toe squat though. So turn to the side so you can see what that looks like. We're gonna be doing 15 of them. We're gonna take our time getting down, and then we're gonna stand up powerfully. So 5 counts on the way down, and then we're gonna come up for 1. Looks like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 6. Now, as we're going down through here, notice that I'm trying to keep my tailbone reaching down below where my knees are. 7. And that's a really good way to make sure that you're getting enough challenge on your quad muscles. Now, if you can't make that range of motion, that's 8. If you can't make that range of motion happen with good form, that's okay. What that means is that we need to make your range of motion smaller. So you never, never, never want to try to sacrifice your form in order to get farther into a rep, okay? So just pay attention to your own body's limits today. If you're not quite going all the way into the range of motion that you want to, that's okay. Don't force it to happen today. Just use it as a benchmark so that you can try to improve on it next time, okay? 4, 3, 2, 1. Call that one 11. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's 12. 3, 2, 1. 13. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 14. 5, 4. Strong through here. 2, 1. 15. So we should be feeling primed through these muscles right here. The next thing that we're going to be doing is getting into an in-turn. Now, if you have these shoulder limitations happening for you today, then what you can do is a nice big extension, stretch down here into your posture stretch, your W stretch, hinge the hips, come forward into a full fold, wiggle it into your full fold, and then tighten your belly muscles and come to a roll up. And that's what you do if your shoulders are just not looking to support your body weight today. That's all right. Otherwise, starts the same. Inhale, both arms come up. You're going to chop yourself in half at your hips, reaching forward like you're trying to come down to the floor. Come down as far as you can with really good posture. And if you need to bend your knees to come down farther, that's okay. Then what you're going to do is start walking your hands out front. Belly muscles are strongly engaged. You're pulling them up towards your spine as tightly as you can. First fingers are parallel to each other so that your shoulders stay open. Glutes are active, tailbone is tucked, and you push the ground away from you. Then you're going to hike your booty up in the air, drop your head down between your arms, and start walking your hands back to where you came from. Keeping your legs as straight as you can without hurting anything, obviously. So if you need to take a wider stance, that can help you if you're feeling particularly tight through your posterior chain. So again, both arms are going to reach up. We're going to chop you in half right at those hip bones, reaching down. You can also angle your toes out. Sometimes that can help get a little bit more range of motion. And then as you come forward, you can kind of gather your feet back up underneath you. Run through your checklist. First fingers are parallel with each other. Belly muscles are tucking up towards your spine. Glutes are active. Pelvis is tucked. Push the floor away from you, all that good stuff. And then you're going to hike up through your hips, dropping your head down between your arms. Walking backwards. With those hands, take a moment to enjoy that hamstring stretch, and you're going to tighten your belly muscles, roll your spine up one vertebrae at a time. That was number 2. We've got 3 more to do, so let's just go through it. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, swan dive down, chop yourself back at your hip bones, walk it out. Run through your checklist, make sure everything is lovely. Then we're going to hike those hips up, drop the heels down. Head goes between the arms, and you're using your arms to push the floor away from you as you walk yourself back up on top of your feet. Take a moment of that hamstring stretch before rolling your spine and coming up back nice and tall and pretty. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, down we go. Walk those hands out. Thinking about the muscles that support the shoulder girdle, really working hard at keeping them nice and active. Tighten up through the belly, lift those hips, drop your head down between your arms, walk your hands back towards your feet. Roll it up from there. We've only got one more to do, so inhale, both arms up. Remember, standing up is just as important for posture as everything else that we do, so we should always be thinking about activating the core muscles, gathering them and tucking them towards your spine, using them to separate your spine bones so that you have a lot of extra space, really working on lengthening. All right, last time right here. Using your belly muscles to help you lift your hips all the way up back on top of your heels. Nice and tall and pretty from here. And again, just like always, all the things that we're doing in our warm-up are mimicking what we're going to be doing in our workout. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is coming into a staggered deadlift, all right? So staggered deadlift means I'm going to stand with both of my feet right beneath my hips, maybe beneath my shoulders if I need a little bit more space. I'm going to take one foot and drag it back so that its toe is sitting on the floor. And I do mean its toe, like its toe, not like that, okay? And it's in line with the heel of my opposite foot. I'm going to square up nice and tall and pretty from here. Most of my weight is dedicated to the leg that is flat on the floor. So this leg here is just for balance, and that's what's going to help me keep this foot on its toe. I'm going to lengthen through my spine, chop myself in half at my hips, reaching for the floor while I'm maintaining that flat back, belly muscles pushing up towards my spine. Big flex on the leg that's working to push my hips all the way back up underneath my ribs. And that motion is what brings my body back to a standing position. Exhale on the way up, that's 2. Inhale to prep the belly on the way down, slight bend on both knees. Exhale on the way up, flexing all your favorite things. And using your glute muscles to push your knees back up underneath your rib cage. Here comes number 4. And 5, and if you find this is not challenging enough for you, you can bring that floating, or you can bring your foot up off the floor and take it into a single leg deadlift. There's 5. I might have miscounted there. You can tell me later if I did. 6. 7. You can tell even when I'm bending myself over, I'm still using my belly muscles to push actively up against my spine. 8. 9. We've got 2 more on this side. Make sure you're really flexing your core, really thinking about what's supposed to be happening there. There's 1. And 2. All right, cool. So we're going to switch and we're going to be going into the second leg. I'm going to show you the second leg straight on, so you know what it looks like from the side already. Now we're going to make sure that we're talking about keeping hips level and keeping your knees stable. So we're going to square up tall and pretty again. My weight's over here on the working leg. Floating leg is coming back here on its toe. I'm going to chop myself right in half with my hip bones. Slight bend on this knee. This one's obviously bent. I'm bringing my body down, but I'm not letting my shoulders fall. Okay, my back muscles are keeping my chest open. Flex my glute, pull myself up. 1. 2. Now note that my knee stays floating right on top of my shoelaces. 3, it's not wiggle wobbling. If yours is wobbling, you might need to hold on to something. It's not cheating if it helps you do it correctly. If you're learning, it's a teaching aid. And again, if this is not hard enough for you, that's when you take this floating leg up off the floor, chop yourself in half at those hips. Now, as we're coming down, hopefully you can see that my hips are staying pointing an equal amount at the floor. I'm not coming down like this. If I start moving on this side, it's going to be really hard to do this exercise correctly. So you're going to make sure that you're chopping yourself in half, keeping it super tight. Tailbone is reaching behind you as you bring your torso towards the floor. And that is the thing that's going to help you balance yourself, is keeping your tailbone reaching behind you, okay? The working leg, that femur is pushing up towards the ceiling. And that's going to help you keep this knee pushing out to the side. Usually, especially if you're doing a floating leg, the knee, the working knee, wants to cut to the midline. But you keep pushing that knee out to the side, and that's going to activate your butt muscle more. And that is kind of the whole point of why we're here. All right. Totally guessing here. I'm going to call that 7. So we got 3 more. Still thinking about those core muscles doing their jobs, right? Lengthen the spine, control the rib cage, support the pelvis. All right, cool beans. So now what we're going to be doing is getting down on the floor for some modified push-ups into a torso rotation. If your wrists and your shoulders are not happy with the idea of getting down on the floor, that's fine. You can adjust, and you can use the support of like a bench or something that's not going to move. So I'm going to show you both ways. So if you are having some joint limitations, if you take a kitchen chair or a workbench or something and you push it into a wall so that it doesn't slide, you can put your hands on the bench. And I like to curl my hands right on the edge, and that helps me not slide forward. Then you can step backwards into your push-up position. The wider you keep your legs, the better it's going to be for you to keep your balance. That means it's going to be a little bit easier to do it correctly without breaking form. Shoulders are back, belly is strong. You lower your body down, push yourself away, slide one hand to the middle. We're going to come to a torso rotation, okay? If any of that doesn't feel right, you can get rid of the push-up, you can get rid of the torso rotation, whatever you need to do. What I'm going to do next is show it to you on the floor. Now, some of you I know are capable of doing full push-ups on the floor, but I'm going to keep you doing modified push-ups for this exercise, just because, make sure so you can see me a little better. It's going to give you the opportunity to really focus on your form. And when we really focus on our form, we get a much better workout. That's, again, kind of the whole point for why we're here. So your shoulders are in your back, your first fingers are parallel to each other, your tailbone is tucked, your belly muscles are lifting up and away from the floor. I'm going to inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up, slide one hand into the middle, draw my arm back like I'm drawing a bow and arrow, and then reach straight for the ceiling. I'm not trying to flip myself in half. I'm reaching straight for the ceiling. And then I'm going to put it down underneath my shoulders, slide the other hand back to where it came from, and lower myself again. Sliding the second hand into the middle so that I can better support myself. Cranking that shoulder blade into your back so we're not just leaving it sitting out there all by itself. Draw that arm back, reach straight for the ceiling. That's one on each side. I'm going to go with it. Inhale on the way down. Exhale on the way up. There's 2 on each side. If you need some more cushion underneath your knees, you're welcome to get some. 3. And 3. Also paying attention to the fact that when you're doing these push-ups, your belly comes down last, and your belly comes up first. There's 4. 4. 1 more on each side. Excellent. All right. So super fun. Should be warmer than you were. And now we're going to be able to take those exercises that we just warmed up. We're going to move into the actual meat and potatoes of our workout. I'm thinking we'll probably have about enough time to do 3 rounds of your strength training workout. So this is the time, if you need some more water, go ahead and stop and take a drink. I'm going to take one here in a minute. Fix your tummy tail if you haven't. Gotta keep that pony on point. All right. Now for this workout, we're keeping it entirely body weight just in case, because I don't know what equipment you might have available. If you do want to add equipment, if you want to add some resistance to what you're doing, you're welcome to modify that, but just know it's not a requirement. And if you don't know what you're doing, you should probably not do it. Okay, so moving into a squat, we're going to keep your feet about shoulder width apart, slightly outside your hip region. Keep your belly nice and engaged, elongating your spine, tucking the rib cage, pelvic floor is already ready to do its job. Chop yourself in half at your hip bones, hinging back and down. We're going to pulse down here, 1.5 squats, stand up, knee tuck. And this knee tuck, I do a little bit of a wind up and I'm using my core muscles to bring my knee up to my hip or to my elbow, not bringing my torso down, okay? We want to stay up through your torso and your knee comes up as high as you can make it go, right? So 1.5 squats, knee lift, so it's a knee drive on one side. 1.5 squats, and then do it on the other side, okay? So here we go. 1.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 1.5, 3, 1.5, you're going to get tired of saying that, 4, 1.5, 5, 6, really thinking about your core being strong, there's 7, keeping those knees stable, they should be tracking right on top of those shoelaces, 8, and if you need to be a little bit more articulate about where you're putting your feet down, if they're not going down right where you want them to, take your time and adjust it. This is not Olympic gymnastics, not Olympic gymnastics. You do not need to stick your landing. So if you need to adjust anything, then please do. That's 13, 14, knees stay wide, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. All right. Now what we're going to be doing is getting down onto the floor. We're going to be doing a plank. The plank that we're going to be doing is a plank pike. Again, this is something that you can modify. So if you have your hands on your bench or up your stairs or something like that, find your plank first. Then you're going to hinge your hips up, touch the opposite ankle with one hand. Put it back on the floor, tighten the belly, roll it back forward. Same thing, hips go up. Head comes down, brace yourself with one arm, bring the opposite hand to your ankle. And bring it back down. Now, if you can't reach your ankle, that's fine. That's just the idea of what we're going for, okay? I'm going to come down probably this way so you can have a better angle on what I'm doing. And we're going to go for 10 total, that's 5 on each side. The wider you keep your legs, the easier it's going to be for you to have endurance in this position. Keep your hands beneath your chest. Belly muscles are tucked. Push the ground away from you. Inhale to prep the belly. Exhale. As you shift your body up, hips go up and reach with the opposite foot. Again, you can adjust your posture as you need to. Inhale to prep. Exhale to work. That's 1 on each side. Two on each side. Keep thinking about knitting those belly muscles towards each other and pulling them towards your spine. Try to get your head actually down between your arms. So ears go beyond biceps. I think that was 4, but I'm not sure. So what that means is that we're just going to do an extra one. We can do an extra one, right, guys? So I think that was fine, but because it might also be 4, we're going to do an extra one. 1, 2, throw 1. Excellent. All right. We're coming up from here. We're going to go into that staggered deadlift. or that single leg deadlift, however you choose to do it today. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you both options. So staggered deadlift, you do your deadlift, we're gonna come up from there, you're gonna take your foot out to the side, and you're gonna drop down into a lateral lunge, push back to where you came from. You can also do single leg deadlift, pull yourself back up, take the leg out to the side, drop it down into a lateral lunge, right? When we are doing lateral lunge, I'm gonna show you this way real quick. You take that foot straight out to the side. Everybody's staying in a toaster squat, so I'm not staggered, right? When I put my foot down, you couldn't see the other leg because I'm in a toaster squat. I'm gonna chop myself in half at my hips. My tailbone is reaching that way. I'm bringing my weight down on top of this leg. It's basically a squat, deadlift, on top of this leg. My back stays in neutral. My booty is reaching and my knee is right beneath my chest. Then I push back to where I came from, okay? So we're gonna be doing 10 on each side. Getting into your deadlift position. Lengthening your spine, engaging your core, chop yourself in half. Hinging at your hips. Squeeze your butt, up you come. And over. 1. And over. There's 2. 3. Should still be thinking about posture. Always thinking about posture. 4. Belly muscles should be talking. You should feel these things. 5. 6. 7. 8. And you can imagine if I did have weights in my hands, how much harder it would make this exercise. 9. And sometimes that's not the goal. Sometimes you're going for proper form. There's 10. All right, so we're making sure that we've got room. It's always good to double check your space periodically. Getting into our staggered deadlift position, chop yourself in half, lengthen your spine, all that good stuff. 1. 2. Knees are slightly bent. 3. The working leg is slightly bent. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. Very good. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is getting back on the floor. And we are going to be doing that modified push-up again. Let me go this way this time. So we have this modified push-up coming up. Again, that means that we've got your knees nice and wide to help you with your stability. Belly muscles are tucked. You're pushing the floor away from you. First fingers are parallel to each other. You can do whatever you want with your ankles, whatever makes sense to you. Okay. Strong through the belly. We're going to inhale the prep as we come down. We exhale as we come up. And then we come right back to it. Inhale, prep. Exhale, work. Draw that shoulder back first, and then release the hand. It's 1 on each side. Draw that elbow back, and then release the hand. 2 on each side. There's 3. Now I'm doing a really conscious effort here to make sure that when I'm rotating, that my butt's not going under the air. There's 3. It's a very different exercise if you are allowing your butt to go up in the air. That's not helpful at all. So keep that booty down into that plank position, okay? That's 4. Good. And there's 5, but we're not done with this position yet. So what I'm gonna have you do is stick your hands back underneath your shoulder. All right, make sure that you are prepped and ready to go. Belly muscles engaged and all that good stuff. Inhale, prep the belly. Exhale, straighten the legs. Compress the core. Bring right back down, take a breath. Inhale, prep the belly. Exhale, compress the core as you straighten your legs. Right back down. Inhale, prep. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale, prep. Exhale, lift. Inhale, prep. Exhale, lift. All right, we can come up from here. Good stuff. And we're going back to the beginning with our 1.5 squat into that knee drive crunch, okay? Here we are. 1.5. 1. 1.5. 2. Ain't no thing, right? This is a fun way that you can get cardio, core, and leg strength done. Make sure you're still breathing, especially if you're talking a lot. Use this opportunity to flex your core, really think about wringing that core out like a dish rag. There's number 10, we're halfway done. I think. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. Almost there. Flex that belly. Squeeze. 19. 20. Good. Getting back down on the floor. Plank position. We're going to do plank pike. Again, you can modify it if you need to. No shame in that. Working where you're at for today. That's what we're doing. If your wrists are getting tired, you can try to use like a perfect push-up, or they have these little like wedge things. That can be good if your wrists are feeling tired. It basically gives your wrist just a little bit of extra support, or it puts you into a position that's a little bit more comfortable for those wrists that may or may not be feeling a little bit grumpy. So you're gonna inhale, prep, hike that booty up, reach for the ankle, bring right down. Inhale, prep, exhale, work. That's 1 on each side. Try to make it fluid. Take a moment to check in with your posture each time. Make sure that you're being genuine to the movement. You're really working at perfecting the exercise. We're not dropping our hips down low, right? Keeping them up high. That's 3 on each side. Flex that belly hard, bring it to your spine. 4 on each side. 5 on each side, and you know what? We're gonna do 1 extra. I'm gonna grow 1. 6 on each side, cool. Come on down from there. We're gonna go into our staggered deadlift or your single leg deadlift into a lateral lunge. Water if you need it, especially if you're talking a lot. All right, we should start feeling something like we're being serious about our workout now. So find your position, get that floating foot on its toe, or pick it up off the floor. Center yourself, find your balance, chop yourself in half. Single leg deadlift, take it over. Lateral lunge, push back, find your balance. It's a fun way to challenge yourself if you are doing a single leg, to see if you can push yourself back to balance from your lateral lunge without touching down on the floor. So it means you're having to be really articulate about how much force you're pushing to the side. You're almost like pushing your hips up, so it's not a straight push over to the side. I'm almost pushing up and settling my hips on top of my ankle. It's kind of like that coordination, like stick game, where there's a little cup on top of the stick and a string attached to a ball. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And you have to like toss the ball onto the top of the stick. But if you do it too hard, it'll roll off again. Anyway, complete non sequitur. I think this is number 8. Who knows, right? And there's 9. We're going to do more this time, because why not? Here's number 10. 5 more. Really focusing on making it good form. Focus on what this knee is doing, what these hips are doing. A good rep is one that is correct. So we don't value moving just for the sake of getting the reps done. We value moving correctly with intention, right? I think we've got 2 more. Keep talking. Yay! Brace that core. All right, we're going to be moving to the second side. So same thing over here. We're going to brace ourselves on that one foot. That's going to be our working foot. Hind foot moves back in the stagnant deadlift position, or maybe you float it. Take a breath. Inhale to crack. And let's actually get to work. Try to stabilize that knee as much as you can. Again, if you can't control it, or if you're having a wicked hard time controlling it, there's nothing wrong with holding on to something that can help you, like the back of a kitchen chair, or a bar stool, or even if you have like a handrail somewhere nearby. Because we want to train these muscles and these movements correctly. If you need movement aids to make sure that that happens now, but it ensures that you're doing it correctly so you have a better chance of doing it correctly by yourself later, then you should definitely use those aids, right? Good, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what I'm doing. Now my focal points move. Still try to keep that spine in neutral. And you keep it in neutral not by having 0 effort under pressure, but you keep it in neutral by thinking about the crown of your head is always rising, your tailbone is always reaching, your belly muscles are working really hard in between. I'm going to call this one 10. I honestly have no idea. Surprising absolutely none of you. Good, hang with it. We're almost there, home stretch time. Last 3. And you can see this leg is my struggle leg. Everybody's got a struggle side, that's fine. The important thing is that even though I'm making these micro corrections, I'm not losing my form. So it's okay to make micro corrections, but what we don't want is to count a rep that's just like sloppy horrible, right? Maybe nobody got time for sloppy horrible reps. Excellent. Here's your 15. All right, we're moving into your push-ups. We gotta crank this last round out, okay? So modified push-up position. Again, if your wrists are feeling tired, you can try doing fists on the floor, right? Or you can get some rolled up towels or something. Of course, I have equipment because of course I do. It's also the easiest thing to buy you for birthday presents. But You don't need to use equipment. You can make do, getting creative with what's around your house, okay? And again, you can also modify this up onto a chair if, I'll turn this way, if your arm muscles are just not feeling it today, all right? So you've seen the posture before. I'm going to show you what the rotation looks like, kind of from the front, right? Inhale the prep. Remember, your belly comes down last. Elbows angle back at about 45-degree angle when you're doing that push-up. And you can see in that rotation that I just showed you, I draw the elbow back, and then I reach for the ceiling, and I'm in a straight line. I'm not overarching, okay? Keep it articulated, keep it intentional. Belly muscles are strong. Just think about bringing that core around. Hips have to stay in line with ribs. Strong through the belly. Here comes the start of number 3. And here's the end of number 3. Really focusing on core muscles, babes. Exhale. And 4. One more on each side. How about one to grow on? You think we can do it? Yeah, of course we can. Just one more rep, right? All right. Backing you out of there, we got one more round of our 4 exercises. We're gonna do it quick. That means 1.5 squats, knee drive crunch, really focusing on that core again. So let's get to it. I'm gonna turn this way. Give you a different angle. Exciting. All right, 1.5, 1. And 2. Strong through the belly, really pushing towards the spine with your core muscles. 4. There's 5. I don't know, I just use count. All right, there's 8. 9. 10, halfway done. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. Last 2. Strong, strong, strong. 20. Let's get it down. We're going to do that full plank again. I've already showed you that you can use 8 if your wrists need them. You can use a table or a bench or a chair or something if your wrists need them. Hands are beneath your shoulders. Shoulders are back, belly is strong. Remember that wide legs means you'll have better basic support. Even if that is coming off of your mat, that's fine. Inhale to prep. Exhale, work. Check in with your posture each time. And up here is a good opportunity to really pull your belly towards your spine. Make sure that when you're sliding back into that plank position, you're taking the time to lengthen your spine out. We don't want any turtles showing up halfway through our workout, right? And one more to go on. All right, now, we're not leaving yet. We're gonna get into this plank position, hands on the floor directly beneath your shoulders. We're gonna do that knee thing again. So your knees are on the ground, dig your toes in. Pull the belly up towards your spine, really active. So you can see the difference between like sort of active belly, right? And then really active belly. Let me get closer. Let me get closer. Okay, and let's bring this down a little bit too. Stand by. Okay. So we are in our position here, right? And here is my belly not quite doing its job, sort of doing its job, but not quite. Versus inhale, prep, exhale, make your belly do its job. Hopefully you can see that difference. We want the second one, okay? Digging in with those first knuckles of your fingers, especially up here by your first finger, swoosh it into the ground. Inhale, prep, exhale, straighten the legs. And down, inhale, prep, exhale, straighten. And down, grab a kegel if you're not. Inhale, prep, exhale, lift. Inhale, prep, exhale, lift. Last time, inhale, prep, exhale, lift. Excellent, okay. Getting back up again. Now I'm gonna change my camera. All right, hang with me, babes. Single leg squat into our lateral lunge. Home stretch, really home stretch. So get into your position, whatever your work is gonna be. If you're gonna do stagger or single leg, use that belly. At this point, you shouldn't need too much coaching. You should know what we're doing by our third time through. You should know that you're only counting the exercises that are correct, right? Here's number 3. Strong through that belly the whole time. Inhale, prep, exhale, work. Here's 5. 6. 7. Chop yourself in half. Don't forget to reach your fat tailbone. 8. 9. 10. What do you guys think? We having fun? 11. You can really articulate here. There's 12. Hinge at those hips. 13. 14. Now I know we did 15 last time, but let's be harder. Let's do it. Last 5. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Good, all the way to the finish. We work on our form all the way to the finish. All right, I'm gonna turn a little bit. So you can see some different angles going on here. Same thing, get yourself crouched on your working leg, whatever's gonna be your working leg today. Yeah. Indecision, right? Keeping that spine neutral. 1. 2. Again, those micro adjustments are fine as long as they're micro adjustments. 3. If you can save the rep, then you can count it. Can't save it, don't count it. 4. 5. 6. Still thinking about those muscles between your shoulder blades. They make your shoulder blades kiss along your spine. 7, 8, inhale to prep, exhale to work. There's 9, so I'm doing 2 breaths when I'm doing this. So inhaling as I come down here, exhale, inhale, exhale. There's 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. Looking good. 15. Last 5. Really focusing on those alignment points that we're talking about. Keeping your foot like a tripod, so you're going to weight your big toe, and your heel. Keep that knee floating on top of your shoelaces. Keep that hip in line. So shoelaces, knee, hip. Last 2. And 1 more. Excellent. Okay, final exercise before we start our cool down. Bring this down. We're going to be doing that push-up into a torso rotation. And I'm bringing it down so that you can see, again, what that active bedding is doing, okay? So, got our hands down on the mat beneath your shoulders. First fingers are parallel to each other. That's going to help you roll your shoulders into your back and keep them there. Really strong connection with your fingers so that we're not just dumping weight into the heels of your hands. Slide those knees back and spread them. It's a wider base, means that you're going to have an easier time controlling what your core is doing. Inch your chest right on top of your hands. So you don't want your hands out in front of your chest. Want your chest right on top of those hands. Gather the belly muscles, lift, push the ground away from you. Okay, inhale to prep on the way down. Remember your belly goes down last. And then up, draw that elbow back, reach for the sky. Good, you're thinking about bringing the core. Really thinking about what those core muscles are doing. That's number 1. And we're also thinking about elbows angling back at about 45 degrees from the torso. All right. No bulldogs while we're doing push-ups, please. This is going to be our last one on each side. Excellent. Excellent. So, get water when you need it. So the major things that we're going to want to pay attention to in our cool down are going to be our quads, our hips, and our chest, okay? So since we're already down here, I'm going to start out with my chest. Find a comfortable position, square it up tall and pretty. You're going to take one arm up. When your arm gets in line with your ear, bicep in line with your ear, rotate your hand palm out, and then reach back with it like you're trying to keep that arm tucked back as tight to your body as you can. Torso continues to face to the front. When your fingertips touch the floor back there, follow your thumb all the way back up. Rotate that hand palm back in. And we're going to do it on the other side. So inhale it up. Rotate that hand. Chest stays open, spine stays long. You can see this arm's trying to get involved. I'm trying to use it for leverage to keep my torso forward, but I'm also trying not to let my posture go crazy. Good, now we're going to do a couple of W's. So both arms come up. Exhale, both arms down. Lift your chin. Good, and again. And exhale. If you can, you're going to take both arms behind you. If you can't grab your hands, this is a good opportunity to use your yoga strap or a towel or something. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what I'm going to do. Okay. If you can reach your hands behind you and grab them, cool. If not, that's where you use the strap and you hold onto the strap. But what you're going to do is push your arms down and open your chest and think about pulling your arms back behind you. Some people like to get into this stretch by going this way. That's entirely up to you. Personally, I just like doing this one. And I figure if I'm not getting a good enough stretch going this way for my chest, then that just means I need a different stretch. All right, the next thing that I'm going to have you do, if you do have that yoga strap or that towel or your shirt that you had on earlier or something like that, you're going to grab onto it with your arms slightly wider than yoga mat width apart, I reckon, wider than shoulder width apart. And you're going to raise your arms up straight. And then you're going to take them behind you. Keeping them straight, that's what you're trying to do. Inhale to bring it up. Still trying to keep those arms nice and straight. And if you go slowly, you're going to find some great pockets to stretch your muscles. And if you do find some of those pockets that need more of a stretch, you can kind of linger there. Now I'm going to do it one more time. All right. Now we're going to move into stretching out your hips a little bit before we get into quads. And then I'm going to leave you alone. You can enjoy the rest of your day. So you're going to take one foot and you're going to wrap the heel of that foot around to the back pocket muscle of the opposite leg. And then you're going to bring this one up top here. We're going to take a moment and just kind of hug this knee, the knee that's in the air, to the opposite shoulder. You should be feeling this in a stretch down here in this back pocket muscle. You'll feel it more if you can sit up really tall through your torso. If you find yourself slouching or you just can't sit up straight, then put your back up against a wall or a piece of furniture that's not going to move, and use that to help you leverage your spine up tall and pretty. And you can also move the squishy stuff out of the way so that you can get that knee across your body towards your shoulder. From here, what I'm going to do is take this top leg, and I'm going to bring this foot over here to the little like crevice between my thigh and my lower leg, and then I'm going to move my tailbone so that my knee is sitting on top of the opposite foot. And again, move whatever squishy stuff is in the way out of the way. Squaring up tall and pretty here. Inhale and lengthen. And exhale, we're going to chop yourself in half and you're going to hinge forward, reaching your heart towards the floor in front of you. Forearms can come to the tops of your legs and they can actually push into your legs a little bit and open up your hips a little bit more. If you're feeling particularly flexible and you want to go farther, you're welcome to. Just make sure you're coming to a tempo along the way. All right, we're going to come out of there. Gently unwind the legs. Now we're bringing the second foot over to the back pocket of the opposite leg. Tall and pretty. So now my weight is mostly in the down hip. And again, if you need to kind of make some space to pull that knee across and then come in, that's great. The taller you sit, the more stretch you're going to get into that back pocket muscle. And you can even turn and look over your shoulder a little bit, and that should help with the alignment. Give you a really good stretch. All right, we're gonna come out of there. I'm gonna take my top leg here. I'm gonna put my foot right in that crevice. There's another little notch from my other foot on the other leg. Smooth and squishy stuff so you can find yourself on your sit bones. Squaring up nice and tall and pretty, and take a breath. Give your hips a chance to settle in. Let gravity help you open through your hips. Everything needs adjusting, go ahead and adjust it. Again, this is not Olympic gymnastics. You do not need to stick your landing. So if you find a spot that's not quite comfortable, or you feel like you could make it better by adjusting something, then adjust it. It's your workout, it's your cool down, that's what you're supposed to do. Inhale and lengthen through your spine. Exhale, we're going to chop yourself at your hips as you hinge forward. Bring those forearms down to your legs. You can use those arms to swoosh into the legs. Again, if you're feeling particularly flexible today, you can go ahead and hinge into it farther, making sure that we don't turn into a turtle along the way. Belly muscles pull towards your spine. So even here, if you're using your belly muscles to pull towards your spine and lengthen your spine, you can actually get a better stretch without changing anything else, just because you're keeping your core active. Okay, we're going to come up from there. Taking just a moment to stretch out our hamstrings. So we're going to guide those feet out front. Sitting up tall and pretty on top of those sit bones. Pull your toes back towards your nose. Inhale, reach. Exhale, down we go. Belly muscles pulling in towards your spine. Lengthen your spine, same thing. If you can't anchor to your toes, that's fine. Anchor to something else. Also grab whatever thing you were using earlier and loop it around your feet to give you some kind of leverage so that you can sit up tall and pretty still. Okay. It is much better for you to be like way back here but have good posture and proper alignment than to be forward touching your toes but everything's all kinds of out of whack. Okay. All right, tighten your belly before you let go of whatever you're attached to. Lengthen up again. Swing those legs behind you. We're going to come into a kneeling position to stretch out the quads, and then we're going to be done. So we're going to come up nice and tall and pretty up here on your quads. One foot's coming forward. Hinge that hip down and scoop it up a little bit, and it's going to stretch out the front of your leg. You can put as much pillow, cushion, whatever you want under your leg as much as you need to. You want to add your arm, you can. Whatever it is that you're doing, if this is enough stretch for you, then cool beans, stay where you are. If it's not enough stretch for you, then you can take this hand palm out and see if you can get your foot. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. Some people can do this. And if you can't today, that doesn't mean that you never can. It just means that you're not quite flexible enough yet. So you might need to, use your tool. You have that bands conveniently have roots on each side, so you can hook a foot and then you can just jump. Okay. Strong through belly, lifting the spine the whole time. And then whenever you're ready to come out of it, you're going to release that foot first, lift your hips up, and then push back with this leg. So you're putting your hips back on top of your knee. And then we're going to do the same thing when we move forward with the opposite side. Okay, so make sure that your knee is comfortable first. Lengthen through your spine, lift up out of those hips, hinge forward, and then scoop up. We'll turn a little bit because it's kind of something you can't quite see what's happening. If that feels good, you want to stay right there and cool beans. If not, you know what you can do to make it bigger. Now, even when I'm holding my foot here, I'm focusing on pulling this hip forward. So closing my torso to what's happening back behind me is a good way to make that stretch bigger instead of opening up towards the side. Okay, so if you notice yourself opening up towards the side, close yourself to the front. All right. Well, babes, there is your virtual boot camp. Thanks for being my guinea pig group on doing a recording of boot camp. If you do have any questions about anything, you do know where to find me. I am available by text, even if I don't have Wi-Fi while I am gone over the weekend, so emails are not super reliable, but texts and phone calls are good. Texts are probably better. If you do have any questions about anything, go ahead and reach out. Great job today. Hopefully you enjoyed this workout. Feel free to use it on your own because it's yours now, so it's like you get your very own DVD. Have a great day, guys.